Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah. I make content on Instagram and now YouTube about makeup, skincare, and a more mindful approach to beauty consumption. Today's video is going to be my introduction video for the 2 eyeshadow panning projects that I'll be doing in 2023. Basically what I've done is adapted 2 really popular eyeshadow panning projects to better suit my needs and the way that I use my eyeshadow palettes. So if that sounds like something that might be interesting to you, I hope you'll stick around and join in on the fun. I would love to have you. So let's get into the projects. So the first project that I'm going to be doing is a version of the Pan That palette project. Now I did a Pan That palette last year in the very traditional way. I picked out a palette for my collection. Last year it was the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I focused on hitting pan in every single shade in the palette. And while it was very satisfying when I would hit a pan, what I found was that I was sort of reaching for that palette over all of the other palettes in my collection because I wanted to see that progress and I wanted to have that gratification. In order to kind of combat that a little bit and still make sure I'm rotating through all of my eyeshadow palettes, I am switching up the project a little bit. So I'm still going to be picking out one palette from my collection. I have chosen the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill Volume 1 palette, which looks like this. Mine's a bit of a mess, but that is real life. And so instead of trying to hit pan in every shade in this palette, which would be pretty difficult, I think, without sacrificing the use of all my other palettes, my goal is just to use each shade 10 times. So you can see I've actually already started marking with little Sharpie marks every time that I use a shade. I'm clearly a visual learner. Something about having a little dot next to the shade telling me how many times I've used it just really helps to motivate me. And because this is an older palette in my collection, I don't really mind marking it up with a Sharpie. But I'm going to be trying to use each and every shade in this palette 10 times. And if I hit pan, that'll be great. I'll just consider that a bonus. But it's mainly for the usage goal, 10 uses for every shade. I chose this palette because it is one of the older palettes in my collection, but it's got a lot of variety in here. So I feel like it'll be a great everyday palette for me to use when I'm in a rush and I don't want to have to think about my eyeshadow, but it'll also serve as a great companion palette for some of the other palettes in my collection so that I can pull shades from this as well as using my other palettes to create some looks. So let's get a good close-up of what the palette looks like now. So each month I will come back and let you know which shades I've been using, how many times I've been using them, and how I've been using them in my looks. And if I happen to hit pan, I will obviously share that with you too. So that's number 1. It's a Pan That palette, but sort of like my version. The other project that I'm going to be doing this year is a take on the No Pan Left Behind project, which is a really popular project that I've seen lots on YouTube and Instagram. What I've done is I've changed it to No Palette Left Behind. And I'm sure there's people that have done this before. This is not really that original of an idea. But for me, my goal is to use every palette in my collection so I can make sure I'm rotating through all my eyeshadow palettes. And I would like to use each palette 3 times over the course of the year. I have, not counting the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette, 41 eyeshadow palettes in my collection, which is a lot for me in my eyes. I know it's all up to your perspective about what constitutes a huge makeup collection, but to me, that is a huge collection of eyeshadow palettes. And I'm hoping that this project will really help me cycle through all of my palettes, use all of my palettes, and get to know all of the palettes in my collection. 41 palettes 3 times each is a lot of eyeshadow usage on top of 10 uses of every shade in the Morphe palette. So I'm going to be doing my eye makeup a lot. Hopefully I will have some looks to share with you all either here or on Instagram if you'd like to follow me over there. I sometimes post my looks just on my stories. And I'm really excited about this opportunity to do a panning project that works for me and hopefully get some good use on all of the eyeshadow in my collection. So I've got a trusty spreadsheet where I'm going to be keeping track of all of my usage. Love a good spreadsheet because I'm like that. And every month I will report back and let you know which palettes I used that month, how many times I use them, and if I have any looks that I did that month, I might share those with you as well. And again, if I happen to hit any pans, I'll just consider that to be a bonus and I will share those with you, obviously, as well. So those are the 2 eyeshadow panning projects that I'm going to be doing in 2023. If you are doing any panning projects, any eyeshadow panning projects, I'd be interested to know what they are. So go ahead and leave that in a comment down below. It'll be really fun to cheer each other on toward our goals. If you're wondering what is on my eyes today, I actually filmed a get ready with me where I did this makeup look using my Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. So that will hopefully be the next video that you see from me. And until then, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.